Hey folks, it's Bell Howard here. I'm back and I'm in Azerbaijan. If you're a first-time listener to this podcast, quick recap. I got divorced and I lost my micronation. I don't know how common that is, but anyway, you lose a lot of things, and I had to fire my producer. But luckily, I had this job waiting for me in Azerbaijan. I'm doing a sitcom based on my time on the oil rig, and it's called The Rig. And when I got here, they don't have a 14-day quarantine like they do in most countries. What they do is they make you walk through the desert or the mountains, and for a couple days, and I was just sort of wandering for a while, and I got to think a lot about my life and where it's headed, and then I finally found the studio and we started taping the sitcom. And it's been a while since I've since I've done some acting. So, and I was also a little dehydrated from the march through the mountains, so I wasn't exactly on my A game. But the sitcom's fun, and so I'm going to do this show. Thankfully, I found a place. My roommate is a nice guy named Rashad, and he's helping me out. He's lending me his computer to do this show. So shout out to Rashad. He has a podcast too. In fact, that's part of the deal. I can use his computer to record this, but I have to plug his podcast, and it's a business podcast. He's a business student, so it's called Quantum Marketing for Business. Quantum Marketing and Optimal Strategies for Business Success. So if you're into that, check out his podcast. Anyway, I should get to my podcast. So I got a guest, and here he is. He's a conservative film critic with Beekeeper Times. It's Terrance Shitzen, and yes, that's how you pronounce his last name, as we figure out in the podcast. So, without further ado, let's go to my guest. Here's my conversation with film critic Terrance Shitzen. On the phone now is conservative movie critic for Beekeeper Times magazine. It's Terrance. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. It's
Shitzen.
It is.
Yes, it's Shitzen.
And that's German, I think?
Yes, it's German.
Very good. Well, Terrance, we got to talk about the Oscars because it was just a train wreck.
I mean, the Oscars this year was just there were a toilet fire. And this is an expression we have in the UK. I don't know if you have this in America, but it was a toilet fire.
A toilet fire? That sounds.
Oh, it's the worst kind of fire there is.
Yeah, I mean, a burning toilet. I imagine it would be pretty smelly.
Well, you can imagine.
That's what I'm saying. I'm imagining it now, and a toilet fire sounds like the worst kind of fire. I mean, in terms of smell. If it's just a fire sort of in the bowl of the toilet, contained by the bowl, then it's a contained fire. But
no. Imagine that fire spreading to other. I mean, imagine a public restroom. Imagine a public restroom on fire. Bell, can you imagine?
Yeah, I can imagine. So the Oscars was a toilet fire. Did you watch it?
Of course, I watched it. I watched it every year, and every year I see the decay and the rot. It's settled in, and it is now wholly consumed this awards show that has become the hypocrisy of the Hollywood left is on display for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about the hypocrisy there. They have police patrolling the area, keeping away the homeless, but I guess in L.A., if a homeless guy parks outside of your house in a tent, the police don't do anything. They don't lift a finger.
Well, they're there to protect the wealthy, the rich, the famous, and they can criticize the police as much as they want. They say defund the police, but and all the while using them to defend their little award show, surrounding the perimeter with a fence and so forth. I mean, it's hypocrisy that we've come to expect from the liberal left Hollywood apparatus.
And did you see these films? Of course you did, because you're a critic.
Now, Bell, I don't even have to see them. In fact, I didn't see any of them. I just read the blurbs that they sent, and I knew what they were about. I reasoned that they were the smart films that they trot out for awards season. So they make two movies in Hollywood. This is the great secret. There's a big book that they plan out for the whole year, and they have smart movies and stupid movies. Well, guess which ones we get? We get the stupid movies. Stupid movies means there's action, overt heterosexual overtones, and car chases.
I mean, what's wrong with that? What happened?
Well, here's the smart movies. The smart movies are basically a reversal of those. And there's lots of quote-unquote brave choices. So, for example, any role where the character is an overweight woman, preferably a woman of color, that's a brave role, and that is highly coveted. That is Oscar worthy. Or
so there's movies for them and movies for us, basically.
yes, but they need the movies for us because those fund the movies for them. They can't make their smart little films so they can hand themselves awards if they don't have the stupid films.
I see. So
you see, they despise us, they hate us, they loathe us, but would they need us? That's the hypocrisy. I mean, Hollywood reeks of hypocrisy. It always has, but now it's so prevalent. It's so visible.
It's visible by the fences that they have around the theater where they're holding this award ceremony, and they're keeping the homeless people at bay using the police officers that they
criticize.
Yeah, they're saying to fund the police, keep the police away, we don't need the police. The police are murderers, and yet they use them.
Exactly. And there's the rub.
Movies used to be fun, and now you get movies that are just designed in a laboratory to be 100% woke. Even in action movies, there's always the hero he might be a white guy, but we don't know what his secret strength is. His strength seems to be that he can just squint his eyes and talk in a raspy voice. I always knew I was alone in this world. And then, he's like a Navy SEAL. He's like a badass. And then he goes into the Navy. He goes into some special ops group to fight terrorists. And then you get into the group, and it's always the same. The group is so neatly balanced in terms of ethnicity that it's comical. I mean, we know what we're going to get, right? You're going to get a black guy who's like the coolest guy ever in the history of the world. He's tough. He can kick anyone's ass. And then you get like an Asian guy, but he's not good at martial arts because that would upset the balance. He's into something else like, drones or something. And then you got the woman, and she's the toughest person in the room. So she can kick anyone's ass, and she's a hacker. So not only is she the toughest, but she's also the smartest. And the white guy who's supposed to be the hero of this, he has to find out who his mother really is or something in the end. But you know what I mean. So they're always...
Well, it's so predictable. I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. I mean, you want movies to just be fun and be entertaining, but they're not. They're instructional. They're lessons, and I think they're propaganda. They are propaganda for whatever, for the left, for the military-industrial complex, for China, for you name it. Films teach us how to think. For example, I know not to swim in the water at the beach because I know there's sharks in the water. I know that not to wear my mother's dress because it will turn me into a psycho. So there are lessons to be learned, and we learn lessons from films. This is what they're for. But now there are simply for brainwashing.
You know, I've always thought that, and it's refreshing to hear someone just voice those opinions and articulate them the way you do, and you do that so well. And I watched some clips of the Oscar awards ceremony on a popular website here in Azerbaijan. It's called BoobsTube, which I thought was an ironic title. You know, sort of a wink. You know, kind of like it was making fun of its audience, but it was actually a website with a lot of adult content. And but funny enough, amongst all that pornography, there were clips of the 2021 Oscars, and I noticed that. I mean, they just can't hide it anymore. It's just pure. It's pure propaganda. It's pure. You know, we're better than you. You better think this way, or you're racist, or you don't know, or you're stupid, or you don't know what's going on, and you just see this divide. I mean, we're just coming more and more apart. The regular people in this country and the elites, the snobs that hold these award shows that just sort of sit around together and, you know, in a sort of, excuse my language, a circle jerk, which is another movie I accidentally clicked on that website.
Yes,
But
I know. I think I know what you mean. I mean, they what was the name of that website again? Oh, never mind. I mean, just look at the you know, there's a duality here that is just so painfully obvious, and maybe it's been highlighted even more by the corona pandemic, that there are two Americas, aren't there? There's the elite America and the regular America, and the real America that's suffering. The real America doesn't get a swag bag. I mean, if you want to get a swag bag for a real American, it would be a brown paper bag with some French fries, some OxyContin, and a gift card for Amazon. But look at the swag bag at the Oscars. You had the keys to a new Lamborghini, for one. You also had a gold-plated syringe that contained the real vaccine that will make you immortal, and of course will guard against any virus ever that man can create. And you get a diamond-studded framed picture of Jeffrey Epstein.
wow, that's shocking.
It is, and it's disgusting, and they've completely lost touch with the common man and woman. I mean, just look at the latest film. The one of the nominees. The nominees in the Oscars this year was called Peter Pam. It was about a woman of color named Pam who is pansexual. And so they're just rehashing the story of Peter Pan, of course. And then they just reverse everything. And of course, like we talked about, make it equally balanced so that Peter Pam, instead of leading a group of lost boys, leads lost girls, and they fight against the evil Captain Trump.
I know a guy that worked on that. I interviewed a couple weeks back.
No, but you see, they have these two films. They have films for the smart people that get it, them and their friends and their producers and everyone. And then they have these stupid films that the rest of us are supposed to the lap up, and it has to stop.
Well, I think it is stopping. I think there's a sea change. I think younger people are abandoning the Oscars. They're going to try to, and they're going to see that. I mean, it's down 60%. I think the viewership of this show, and next year they're going to see. They're going to try to appeal to the young people, and I just can't wait to see how they do that.
Yes, there's going to be an category for best TikToker or something, and it's going to be absolute drivel as usual, and it's going to be as the young people say, a cringe fest.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, since I have you on, Terrance, what is a movie you're looking forward to this year? Any good ones? Anything that we should be
Well,
looking
this year,
forward to?
I mean, there are very few movies that I would recommend going to the theater for. So I was thinking, I really want to see Head Smasher. It's the new Michael Bay film about a man who doesn't have any arms, but he fights with his head. It's great fun, and he can drive with his feet on the steering wheel. But when he gets into a fight, he bashes people's heads. And the thing is, here's the backstory. Here's the interesting part of this film, is that he was born with a steel plate in his head, and so
Wow. So he was actually. That sounds cool.
yes, and so and he joins an elite group of warriors to fight
The Taliban.
No, Bell. No. We can't fight people of color. We must fight the Russians.
We're back to the Russians. It's the Cold War all over again. I mean, I'm not complaining. I love the movies during the Cold War, and that's where I got my start in the entertainment business. Barracuda, the action police show, that was actually about, a lot of it was about communist infiltration in the post office.
Right. So there you go. History repeats itself.
Well, Terrance Shitzen, that's really how you. Thank you so much for coming on the Bell Howard Show and talking to me. I know I'm getting back on my feet here, but and you're one of the first guests that I reached out to, and you were kind enough to be on. So you know what, I appreciate that.
Bell, anytime. And if you're in Hollywood, stop by while it still lasts. I mean, you must come to this town before it is totally ruined by the Democratic Party.
I hear you, Terrance, and I will. I'll try to get out there. Just to drive through it. I just want to see the destruction. It's sad. I was the last time I was there was probably in the 90s. I was trying to make an independent film about a James Dean impersonator who works on the Hollywood Strip, trying to get tips just to make a living, but he's in a wheelchair. So I thought...
oh, excellent. I'm surprised you didn't win an Oscar for that.
Well, I couldn't get it made. They wanted Nicolas Cage. I said, no, actually, I wrote it for myself, and, so... Anyway, and what's your new book called?
Oh, yes, it's called A Good Spanking, Discipline for Lovers.
All righty, then. Thank you, Terrance. Talk to you next time.
Goodbye, Belle. Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, thanks so much. That's the show for today. Remember, follow me on Twitter at @TheBellHoward. I'm on Facebook, and you can leave a voice message at anchor.fm/BellHoward. And no matter what country you're in, folks, stay safe, stay sane, and stay free. Bye now.